Yeah. Snap, you want?
Yeah. Here's a little song I wrote. You might wanna sing it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy. In every life we have some trouble, but when you worry, you make it double. Don't you worry. Be happy. Don't worry, be happy now. Ooh, 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 ooh. Do. Said, ooh, 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 ooh. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. So yeah,
Welcome back to the STL Bucket List Show. I am your host, Luke Farrell.
And I am your other host, Marissa Thomas.
We are recording this podcast at Half Coast Studios. This is the #1 place to record your podcast, and they'll distribute it, do the video, and put it online. All you have to do is just Google Half Coast Studios. So today we're here with a very special guest, the soul of Ferguson, Brian Owens. How you doing, Brian?
I'm special.
You are special.
Oh,
Yes,
cute.
we're
I
so
like
excited
that.
to have you.
I like that. You guys are cute, man.
Thank you.
This is cool. So what's up? How you doing?
I'm good, Brian. We wanted to get right into it, man. We wanted to hear about your upbringing. We wanted to hear a little bit about what makes you you. Tell us about where you're from, your childhood.
Well, I was born by the river in a little tent. No, I'm just joking. That's a really bad joke. That's a dad joke. I'm like really
Dad joke. Showing
my
his age
age
here.
and station in life. No, I'm from across the river. Everybody thinks that I'm from Ferguson. In truth, I live in Ferguson. I choose to live in Ferguson, which I think is important to note. But I'm from across the river. Basically, my family is from Madison, Brooklyn, East St. Louis, Centerville, Cahokia. I grew up in Belleville. I went to Belleville West, so don't ask me what high school I went to.
Yeah, we won't. We'll leave it.
Everybody's always like, what high school did you go
Yeah.
to? It's like, doesn't matter. I'm from the east side. So, yeah, I mean, I grew up, over on the east side, grew up in church. Dad's a pastor. And so for me, musically, that was that was the foundation.
Right.
My earliest memories are listening to hearing, Sam Cooke and Soul Stirrers records, or seeing my dad sing, and he had a quartet group, that a cappella group that he sung with. So I was blessed to be around just a lot of really, really, really good singers.
Right.
Growing up. And so I really didn't have an affinity towards doing this as a living till like maybe late high school, because I was playing basketball. Mm-hmm. And I was pretty decent at it. And so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play basketball.
Oh,
So,
turn of events.
I mean, yeah, I didn't end up being 6'6".
Yeah.
So I don't know what I could have actually done at 6'1", but
Could play point guard.
yeah. It was cool, man. Like, I enjoyed my upbringing, but music was always just kind of something we did at church. And then I sang in some groups, and because everybody did it, for me, it wasn't a thing where it's like, oh yeah, this is how I'm gonna make a living. Until I started gigging around the same time that I was working at a Steak and Shake. And I did the math. And I was like, okay. And back then, back in 19, I was a server. So I wasn't making a lot base, and then you get
Was that when Steak and Shake was on roller skates and shit?
roller
Not that
skates.
far back.
I'm just playing.
My dad worked at Steak
Oh no,
and
you
Shake
got
too.
jokes.
My
You got
dad worked at
jokes.
Steak-
Your dad
Yes.
worked. I don't even want to
He
ask how
did.
old your dad is, because it's gonna make me feel
Oh,
like
no.
I'm really.
He's 53, 54.
Okay, that's not okay.
He's
I
54.
can roll with that. Okay, I
think.
can roll with that without saying how old I am. But I was working there, and then I did one gig, and I was like, this math does not add up, and so I'm gonna gig, doing top 40 stuff around town, and that's around the same time that my senior year was coming up, and I told my basketball coach, I was like, yo, I think I want to pursue music, and if I'm going to do that, I need to do it now, because I'm going into my senior year, which meant some things had to change in my schedule. I wouldn't be able to have a sports PE, which was a big deal for athletes. And I was like, no, I need to take more music classes. He's like, well, you can only do music. You know, you can do music the rest of your life. You can only play basketball. Like, this is a special time. I was like, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Probably not the point you wanted to make because I'm not playing.
Right.
So I pursued music. And from then on, it was just me trying to figure out what that would look like, whether it was going to college for music and being in a boy band at Busch Gardens, Lord have mercy, for 2 seasons, or being in the Air Force band, which I love that, being in the military band. Yeah, and now I'm here.
Yeah, so you spoke on how your dad was a pastor. So like growing up in a house of faith, how has that like shaped you into the man you are today?
It's everything that I am. Like I always tell people my priorities in this order: faith, family, Ferguson. Right? So it's my God, the people that my God puts in my life, and then the community that my God put me in. So those are like the most important things in my life, and everything, you know, the way that I decipher priority is through those things. So when it was time for me to decide what kind of artist I was going to be, because faith, family, and community are important, I couldn't be an artist that's going to be gone a lot, that was a shift in my focus. Because in my 20s, that was totally what I was going to do.
Right.
I want to be on the,
Get out of here.
I was like, I'm getting a record deal.
Global.
I'm going on the road. I'm going to stack this paper, and then I'm going to do lots of great things for the kingdom. That was my thing. Then I started having kids, and, you know, that kind of began to slow things a little bit. And then I started getting other kids, like young creatives that I was not looking for, that start showing up in my life, saying things like, can you mentor me? Or like, and I'm thinking to myself, I mean, I'm trying to get me together, much less trying to get other people together. So I was like, you know, okay, let's see how it work out. It was just 1. Then it was 2. Then it was 3. Then it was 5. And the same thing started happening with kids. First there was 1. Then there was 2. Then there was 4. Then there was 7. Right? And so now there's 8. So, you know, those three things being kind of like the things that kind of prioritize my life and help me find a balance to, I guess, curb some of my ambition that would not have been healthy.
Right.
So now I'm in a place where I feel very comfortable and fulfilled in the things that I'm getting to do, and in the people that I'm getting to work with and support. And at the same time, I feel like I'm not done. I feel like my career apex hasn't happened yet. And I have a full expectation that it will.
Right.
And I'm just in a place in my life right now where I'm kind of rediscovering, okay, what's my voice in the next season of life? Like, now that I have more control, now that I have more knowledge, like, what's it going to look like for me now to transition to being the cat that's like just old enough, just young enough? You know,
You're just getting started.
In some ways I would say, yeah, I think so.
A reinvention slightly, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I think my last 3 albums were kind of like me really figuring some stuff out and really finding my voice, which makes sense and in line with kind of the trajectory of like, no, it's not going to happen in my 20s because I don't know enough. It's not going to happen in my 30s because I still have some things that I need to sacrifice. Once I hit 40, it was like, oh, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's inspiring.
That makes so much sense though too, because everyone just tells us like, you're young, wait it out. You think you know things, just wait. You'll get there in your 30s. And then I feel like, well, we're closer to 30. Who knows what it's going to be like? You start building your family, your career kind of gets a little bit more established, but the wheel's always turning. So you're just always changing.
Just be open. Yeah. That's what I say. Everybody say, are you ready? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
But I'm open. When I got married, it was like, are you ready? I was like, no.
Oh, we get that question.
Yeah,
I'm open.
All the time.
I'm open to it.
Yeah.
So you talk about family. So you're a dad, you're active in the community, you're balancing your career. I mean, how do you balance all of those things? You have the nonprofit, the for-profit. I mean, you have a lot going on. Just from hearing about it, just from reading about it, like you were a man of many many things. So how do you balance that? And
The 80-20 rule. You ready for this?
Let's hear
The
it.
80-20 rule. And I'll say this, before I'm a dad, I'm a husband.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yes.
my wife's the bomb.
I was going to ask
And
about
before
her.
I'm a
Yes.
dad, I'm married to Amanda. That's before I'm a father. And then we got I got my 8 kids and then everybody else in my life. The 80-20 rule is basically this. Everybody has a 100%. That 100% is all the things that I do in my life. There's about 80% that I'm supposed to be totally involved with. My hands are on it all the time. There's a 20% where I may be called just to facilitate because it's not exactly in my wheelhouse. It's not something necessarily that I have a deep passion or desire for, but maybe God wants me to facilitate it or to start it and hand it off. The nonprofit was in my 20%. A lot of things in my life over the last 5 years have been in my 20%, and now I'm beginning to hand those 20% things off to people who it's really their 80%, so that I can focus on my 80%.
Yep.
Right, which is platform development for young creatives, continuing to build out my brand and platform as an economic driver for the young creatives in my ecosystem, and to retell the narrative of my city, specifically the one that I call home in Ferguson, to reshape those things. Like that's my 80%. The other things are not in my 80%, they're in my 20%. My family is in my 80%. See, and the thing is that you don't want to get that mixed up. Right. Because what happens is you start to put the stuff that matters in the 20%. See, if I would have been out on the road, it would have been flipped. See, my family would have fallen into that 20% for me. And I'm and I want to make sure that that is not the case. So the 80-20 rule is how I balance and make sure that I'm pouring into young creatives, not just to do it, but for the purposes of, you're going to have to take this over at some point in the near future, because I'm not here to
give it
run
your
all
100%.
this.
If you're not giving it your 80%, it's not going to flourish. You know, and it's like you said, if you were on the road, you can't be around your family.
Right.
You can talk to them on the phone, but it's different.
Right.
It's different.
Right.
You're not present in a sense.
Yeah.
It's different. It's
Or even the young creatives
presence.
that we work with. I mean, I live on the block with, a lot of them, and just being there, like being able to walk down the street and have these great, life-informing conversations.
Right.
When you talk about development, which really doesn't happen with young creatives anymore. Like, you don't get an opportunity to develop with all the information that's out there. Maybe we deem it as not necessarily being necessary, but I mean, you need a mentor or something. You need somebody who's further along, who has more knowledge, that can help you avoid stuff.
Google can't do that. Yeah.
Google can give you information. It can't give you wisdom.
Right.
Like Google can tell you a bunch of stuff, but if you don't have anybody to walk with you in healthy accountability or encourage you
Or lived it.
Right. Yeah.
Have been where you've
different.
been and have what you want. You have to listen to people that have been in the situation that you've been in. And that's what you do in Ferguson. So tell us what Ferguson means to you, because you've already, spoken on it. You live there. You said you live on the block with multiple people, multiple creatives that you mentor. I mean, what does Ferguson mean to you?
It's where I choose to live. I don't know that it needs to be more. I mean, it's where regardless of what anybody says or anything that happens, it's where I choose to live and raise my family. And I feel like, the idea of making change in our communities cannot happen without occupation. Like, we want to change communities, but then we leave them.
Right.
Yes.
Like if we really want to affect change in communities, somebody has to stay. And there's a lot of people. Yeah. There's a lot of people in Ferguson who have made the choice that we choose to live here because we know and understand what our community is and what it can be. And I'm just one of the many people who have made that choice and who are choosing to invest in property and move creatives in and business and film,
That's the way to do
things
it.
in our community. And
My mom worked at Farashi. That was her first job. She's from Ferguson.
Are you serious?
Yeah, she worked at
Yo, okay. First of all,
Farashi. We still get it. We still get it. Yeah.
First of all, shout out to Farashi's because it's my favorite pizza on the planet.
It's fire.
And
you get the half baked and take it home.
No, man. I look at the large special with green peppers.
Okay.
They know it now. When
they just know.
Like when I call in my order. They be like, all right, Brian.
Yep.
I love Farachi's, man. I have a Farachi's 50 shirt that I wear. I've worn it out. Like if you watched certain things with me on television, I got the Farachi's 50 shirt on.
This is probably before your time, but she got me, like, I'm into vinyl records, and there was a place called Peaches. I don't know if this was Ferguson, but it was like a vinyl record store that she used to walk up to.
In Ferguson?
It might not have been it was in like that, it was called Peaches. It was real. She was born in the 50s, so this is.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, she was probably a kid in the 70s. So
See, I didn't grow up in Ferguson.
But she worked at Farashi's been there for what, 50 years now? Something like that. Yeah. And that was her first job when she was like 14.
Man, Farachi's.
She gets the half baked because they live out in St. Charles now, so they got to go get the half baked, take it home, and bake it. Yeah.
Farachi's is my jam, man.
This is in New Orleans. Peaches is from New Orleans.
No, it's a record store.
Yeah, that's I typed in. Peaches record store.
See, that's why you can't trust. See, sometimes Google.
Bringing it back to Google.
It give you the information, but it's not the information you're looking for. See, I preach right there. So what else? What else do you want to know?
I want to know about your wife because you talked about her and you said she's first your husband. So tell Amanda. You said that's her name. Tell us about how amazing Amanda is. How she holds it down. How is she your biggest supporter, your ride or die? Tell us about your wife.
The number one thing that makes my wife amazing for me is that she prays for me a lot. A lot. And being married to a hyper extroverted, ambitious, creative entrepreneur is not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. As my daughter sitting over in the corner here has said, it's not an easy thing. And my wife, she really runs our life, right? I'm blessed to go out and do things to help finance it, but she runs our world, and she homeschools 7 kids.
Wow, bless her. That's amazing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, that's amazing.
Like she still has time to pour into the lives of other people.
Right.
So, yeah, if anybody so Proverbs 31 is a verse in the Bible that talks about the woman of noble character. She's like the picture. Like it's like bam, that's it right there. Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, Amanda's the bomb.
That's amazing. I love it. So you guys have 8 beautiful children together.
8.
One you brought today, my little poet writer. She's over there writing poems in the corner. Which
She's
I
hyper
love.
creative.
That's amazing. Are they what are the names of your kids?
Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah, like list them off. What's the order?
So the oldest, 13, his name is Ellington Cole.
Okay, great name.
You're gonna sense the theme.
Yeah.
The second is 12. She's here, Ella Simone. The third is 10, Langston Josiah. The fourth is 8, Lincoln Lee Miles. The 5th is 7. Or is he 6? He's 7. And his name is Solomon Carter Cash. So we know what album I was working on.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the theme.
Yeah, and then the number 6 kid is 5, Selma Rose. She's 6. Selma's not 6. She's 5. No, she just turned 5. Stop. See, I know. That is actually the one birth I missed because I was on the road. Not my fault though. That's a whole nother story. So she's 5, Selma Rose, and then Mahalia is 3, Mahalia June. Okay. It is Mahalia. Yeah, Mahalia June, and then the youngest is Mavis Josephine. She's 1.
Wow.
So 4 boys, 4 girls.
Great names.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So all their names mean something to you, and I wanted to know, like, with 8 kids being around you, I mean, are they all into music or different types of is each one creative in their own way, or?
Sure, they have.
I mean, like they're all definitely into music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now the extent to which they want to share that with people is a whole nother story.
Right.
I mean, they can sing. they can harmonize, which is scary, but they rarely want to do it publicly. But they're all creative in their own ways. Like my oldest son is like interning right now with one of the young creatives that I work with, Paco. He's interning with Paco, learning music production, music business, all that kind of stuff, because that's what he wants to do. He's 13. He's homeschooled. Wow. It's like beautiful. Go do that. Yep. And then, my daughter, like what she's doing right now, like she crochets and yep. and like does all kind of like makes stickers and bakes, and like they're all like just hyper talented and creative in their own ways. So
I feel like homeschooling allows you to seek out those talents and focus more in on those rather than a curriculum.
Oh, absolutely. It does. Absolutely. Oh, well, everybody got a little taste of homeschooling the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So we were,
No,
we were like, wow. I mean, I felt bad for people because if it's not something that you do or that you're ready for, I can't imagine.
Oh, that was a hard transition for a lot of people. Especially like older teachers who are like the technology aspect.
Yes.
Like, I can't do this. I mean, for me, it was fine, but
the virtual space.
Yeah. I still teach virtual at school. Like I have 3 classes throughout the day that I get online, but then my other 3 classes are in person. So I'm still doing
like a hybrid
both
type of deal.
I mean, it's changed. I mean, I think things just got accelerated.
Yeah.
Even in the creative space, I think what's happened with virtual is going to, it's had an effect that won't go away.
It won't. Yeah.
But I think people still need person-to-person, in-person experiences.
Yes.
And so, I think for my kids going through the pandemic, it was still rough, but we're very blessed that they at least had each other. Mm-hmm. Which some weeks was
crazy.
didn't seem as much, but I was like, I want to see some other people.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh my goodness.
I need my space.
Get me out of this house. Yeah, you see the same people every single day. But you get to see people. Some people
love them
are
harder.
only children, like are very lonely when it's just one kid. And that social aspect of just having a conversation with somebody is crazy. Like you're online, everybody's on a group chat, everybody's playing video games online. Like people just don't like realize like what that means. So having a large family like that, the Owens 8, that's the group right there.
The Owens 8. The Owens 8. We're never alone.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. I love big families. I come from a big family, so.
How big?
Okay, so, my parents are divorced, but like there's 7 of us. I'm the second of 7.
Oh wow.
So.
Twins.
But like 6 are in the same. We're in the same house. So.
Wait, are you a twin?
No, there's twins in there. There's
The
twins
youngest 2 are twins. My brother and sister. They're 7. They just turned 17.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the oldest is 30, down to 17.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Good times.
That's a good spread.
It is. It really is, honestly. So
it's a good spread.
It is. They're the best.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we wanna get into life arts. We wanna hear more about that, and what you guys are doing with that and how involved you are. Because you said you kind of gave up a lot of that power. You just kind of.
Oh, I gave up all of that power.
All of it.
Look,
okay.
From the beginning, like I didn't want to start a nonprofit. What I wanted to do was use my creative resources to help nonprofits. Because of the work that we found ourselves doing in 2014, 2015, it just made sense. Like, okay, we need to just start a nonprofit instead of trying to find a fiscal sponsor to oversee work that doesn't necessarily make sense with their mission. So we kind of missionized. I don't even know if that's a word. We missionized.
We'll say yes.
What we were doing. And partnering with Maryville University, shout out to them because they're huge, have been a huge, longstanding partner, and in particular with their music therapy program, doing music therapy for kids with urban trauma. So that's how it started, and in that is when, I began to find all of these other ways and mechanisms to begin to support and develop young creatives holistically, which has now kind of branched itself out into being, kind of this more comprehensive ecosystem. So Life Arts is like the nonprofit curricular driving missional partner. And Life Creative Group is a for-profit company that I now oversee and started.
Okay.
So started Life Arts, took it as far as I could take it, then turned it over to my cousin, who's the executive director now.
Awesome.
And the board and all, and we have great support from one company, American Portfolios, Lon Dolber, up in New Jersey. Not New Jersey, they're in Long Island. I don't know why I say New Jersey. But they've been really, really supportive of us working with older creatives. So we have a program, a residency program, where we actually provide creatives with a stipend, money for savings, an investment advisor. And on the other side, they get project support from Life Creative Group, mentoring from Life Creative Group.
That's amazing.
And then they turn around and they serve as, mentors and different things like that. So it's pretty cool.
It's like 20 of you, like mentorship.
Well, that's
It's bigger than yourself.
that's the goal, right? The goal is to say, one person can do so much.
The same vision. This is, but it expands and multiple people are helping.
Oh yeah.
These young kids.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Young kids and adults.
Well,
Yeah,
right,
so-
and because it goes up to the college level.
Oh,
is
I
that?
mean,
or past that.
Yeah, it's like college, pre-professional.
Right. Okay.
I've never had to look for anybody, which is interesting to me. It's like
They come
Great.
to you.
y-
If you build it, they come.
they get sent to me. I don't
Yeah.
even say they come, they get sent. Like I meet people and don't even know that they're creatives, and then and say, "Oh yeah, he does this." And it's like, "Well, of course he does. Of course she does." Right?
Yeah.
It's like, and that's why you're here. And then because I feel like what we're building out is foundational. Like we're not building out what it's going to be. We're building out what's going to facilitate what it's going to be.
Right.
And so in that regard, right now what we do is somewhat niche. So I'm not doing cattle calls in terms of come be in our organization.
Right.
But we do want to provide opportunities and experiences for folks out of the work that we do. So I'm really excited that we just signed on to oversee the music series with the World Chess Hall of Fame. Okay. So out of that, we're going to be able to do a lot of cool experiences where we can bring in creatives. Bucket list, you guys should come to some shows.
Absolutely.
Let us know. We're there.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
sounds
But we're going to be
We're right
doing
down the
some.
street.
Yeah,
We're going to
we
be doing
are.
some conversations with artists that we bring into town and artists from here, where we're talking about the business of things, talking about being more than artists, talking about being holistic creatives. Because the truth is a lot of artists and musicians struggled in the pandemic. Most creatives during the pandemic did pretty well. Like people who focus on content creation, people who do video,
doubled
audio.
down.
Oh
They
yeah,
doubled down.
they're doing great. We had our best year because we refocused and said, well, we can still do music, but we need to focus on different containers. As opposed to just being in a song, we need to be doing concert films. We need to be doing movies. We need to be producing content. And so, that's the whole point of the ecosystem is to engage people younger and younger and younger with entrepreneurial ideals in the creative space, so that by the time they get to high school, they have a plethora. That's my word, plethora.
Yeah, I love that
a
word.
plethora
They have all
of
the
options
tools,
options
yeah.
that they can explore. And it's crazy. I get in conversations like this, and we're talking about stuff. And then it hits me all in one moment. I go, oh, yeah, dude, I'm an artist. That's the crazy thing about all this. Mm-hmm. It's I'm an artist. Mm-hmm. I'm a singer. I'm a writer. But the bulk of my life right now is pouring out into all these other areas, which is really cool to me.
Yeah, you're more than an artist. Like you just said that, you're saying these creatives, you're more than a creative. There's so many different sides of it. So moving from music and going into film, I'm sure that was a huge jump for you because you're I just sing and write. But you just went seamlessly.
It wasn't a huge jump because it's all telling stories.
Yeah.
It's all narrative.
Now it's more visual.
Yeah. It's directing a film is a lot like producing a song or producing a record. You know what I'm saying? It's it's seeing the whole vision of it, and then step by step getting to the end result of the narrative, right? And so it's a lot of fun.
how fun to see that all come together at the end.
Yeah.
This is your vision. You take the time to break it apart, make it what it is, and then you see it and you're like, this is the story. This is the narrative I was trying to tell.
Yeah.
So how fun.
Yeah. And I'm blessed. I mean, I got a lot of people in my life who support what we do. M1 Bank, the Stewart family has been really good to us in the work that we do. Again, like Lon, American Portfolios, Beyond Housing, Chris Krameyer, Beyond Housing is a good friend of mine, and like we're going to be doing some stuff together. We haven't announced it yet, but Regional Arts Commission, gonna be doing some work with them. World Chess, like we're sitting in a place right now where, you know, we have the opportunity to kind of be the smallest part of the wheel, but the part where all of the spokes kind of fit into. And really the job is just to make sure that the spokes have a place to fit into.
Right.
And then facilitate this renaissance in North County. Yeah.
That's huge. What
And
other
M1 Bank,
community partners? Because don't you like help with other like creatives like Crush Records and like other? Or you do stuff with them?
I mean,
Girl Conductor.
Yeah. So Maria Ellis, these are all brands that came out that are run by folks who came out of our ecosystem. So Maria Ellis has Girl Conductor,
Right.
and she's killing the game in what she's doing with, you know, what I call edutainment and, you know, rethinking music education, rethinking how we teach the history of music, how we teach the theory of music, and making it more culturally relevant. So she directs the City Music All-Star Chorus at the Sheldon. She's at Sumner, helping them with their rebuild. Like, she's doing a lot of cool stuff. And then Crush Records was started by Sanka, Nguyen, and Paco. His name is Josh. He call himself Paco. Joshua Lee, but we call him Paco because that's his nickname. And then they started it, and then now they started with just the two of them, and now they have like 6-7 people. Yeah. One of whom is in the room right now, and then who works for everybody. And so, you know, it's like watching your kids grow up, or your peers and folks that you kind of mentored, watching them step out and saying, well, just let me know what you need. Yeah. And, you know, we'll be there to support what you need. And then everybody just pledges, once we reach profitability, then we put back into the system that built us. So, you know, Life Creative Group as a parent company, like for all that we do with artists and creatives and building out brands, like we don't want publishing, we don't want the royalties, 15%. Right. 15 for life is what we call it. 15 for life. So once you reach profitability, we do 15 for life. That 15% comes back into the company. Mm-hmm.
And it just funds.
It just keeps
it's just going to keep getting bigger.
Yep.
So you're a mentor to so many people, but is there like a mentor in your life? I know you spoke a lot about your dad, but I mean, was there a specific mentor that inspired you to be?
Or artists that just really, I mean, I know, you know.
I mean, there's a lot of people who've spoken into my life at various times. Both my dad and my father-in-law are pastors, and they're actually pastored together in the same church.
Wow.
So I'm blessed in that way where, like, if I didn't have anyone else, I mean, in my family, I have two strong
male leaders and,
you know, mentors who are amazing. My mom was a mentor. She passed away 2 years ago, but I have other women in my life that are huge mentors to me. Mama Linda, my high school music teacher, who's probably outside of my parents the person most responsible for who I am. And you know, she and I still keep in touch. We got to go on another date. We went on a date last year to the Muni.
That's
you know,
so
like
cute.
Mrs. Carter.
That's awesome.
Ms. Eichenberger
that
now.
She was that
Ms. Eichenberger.
impactful that I'm not going to say how many years later, but
oh
down
yeah,
the road that you guys are still.
She's my mom. I mean, I told her she's my mom,
Yeah.
and so, you know, I've just been blessed to have people. Again, the Stewarts family has really, you know, poured into my family. Again, like Ken and Stephanie Potita, M1 Bank. Like, generally speaking, I don't just have partners. They're usually people who are more than partners. Like they
extended family.
Yeah, they have a vested interest in my family holistically. And I think, you know, for me, that's kind of the coolest part. Diane Reeves, you know, early on in my career was a huge mentor for me, Michael McDonald.
Yes.
And working with him and was really dope, and just gleaning from him things. So I've been really fortunate to have
different times in different times of your life, different mentors stepped in.
Exactly.
Like high school, you were probably like, she probably led you to maybe quit, not to tell you to quit basketball, but she's like, this is your path,
Well, she didn't. She just supported me when I said I want to do this, and I'm doing it from Belleville.
Right.
Which, like I want to go to Manhattan School of Music in New York. Like I want to be a part of the Grammy and the jazz thing. Like whatever it was, she was like, okay, let's do it.
You can do it.
You can do it. And so, as I got older, I always had that there, like, you can do it. You can do it. And so now, again, it's like you have one version of what you think is going to happen in your life. And then you get the real version and you're like, oh, thank you, Lord, because I would have oh man,
so
I would have been
better.
a mess. If I would have gotten what I wanted, I would have been a mess. And so, and now looking at the stewardship that I have of other people who are in my life, especially young people who are looking at my life, where I don't have the luxury of just living however I want to, which, for some people it could be like, man, that sucks. And for me, I'm like, no, that's a blessing. See, I don't just get to go out and be whoever and do whatever, because I have younger people who look at me as an example, not of just how to be an artist, but how to live a life. How to, like, when you make a mistake, this is what it looks like to come back from a mistake. This is what generosity looks like. This is what humility looks like. This is what compassion looks like. Most of the folks who are in our organization, our organization is typical of any organization, especially in this generation where you have people who have all kinds of things that they're dealing with, struggling with. We take mental health very, 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 very seriously.
Right.
And so it's not a thing where I can just like the pacing of what we do has to be subservient, not to everybody's ambition. Because if it was, it may not be the healthiest thing. Mm-hmm. So our pacing has to be subservient to principles and values that are about who we are as people first, faith, and who we are to the people in our life, family, and how rooted we are where we live, community, right? So it's like, now everybody's principles, if they roll with me, they have to be shaped. They have to align and be shaped around that, because there's so many things out there that can really mess you up, especially if you're a creative or if you're an artist or a musician or you want to be in entertainment. There's so much that can jack you up.
That can get in your own way.
Yeah, and it's not even worth it. You see people and you see them online. You're like, that stuff ain't even real, man. That's not real.
All the time.
That's
all
not
the
real.
time.
You want to know what real love is? Go talk to a couple who've been married 40 years.
Right.
I mean, like, if you really want to know, don't go online and say, oh, these two celebrities got together. That's it. They make such a cute couple.
The hype on that. It's like they're not even in your realm.
I feel like it's
why
the biggest
is there
gap
focus?
though, with entertainment. It's like, and I talked about this with Brock Seals, who was on one of our earlier episodes, and I'm like, there's so much love you get as an entertainer, but there's also the biggest gap between the beginning and the end. Like, you see these people at the end, but like, where were they at the beginning? And like, there's like, it's not like a middle class. Like just a gap.
Right,
there's a gap
right.
between like the super wealthy and then the super talented, but just under recognized. So like, how do you fit in that middle, that gap of like having a career, but also balancing family and staying private, to a T? Like,
are you asking me?
I'm just saying, like, in my head, I'm just
Yeah.
saying in my head, like how does that happen? There's just a huge gap.
By
between it.
choice.
Yeah.
You choose
20
it.
rule.
You choose
20
it.
rule.
Right.
You choose it. I mean, I don't envision people running up to Denzel Washington like they crazy. You know why? Because he don't put himself out there like that.
Mm-hmm.
When people probably most likely see Denzel Washington out, they go, oh, that's Denzel. And they keep it moving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody is a spectacle online, when you see them, you're going to treat them like a spectacle.
Right.
I agree fully. Totally. I think even just in the light of social media, I think, and like especially with STL bucket list, there, you know, like we've walked down the street and there have been people like, that's STL bucket list, and that's so weird to me. Like I'm like, you have to stay humble. You just, you know, hey, what's up? But it is weird, and to put yourself out there, and like what we're doing, you're putting yourself out there, but like on your personal page, quiet, because you know this is his business. This is, you know, what we're doing social media wise, but personally, keep it quiet.
Yeah, well, there's a part of you that likes it when people go, that's a bucket list. Or like,
well, that's a great.
Hey, wait a minute.
Yes.
Hey, I saw you. And there's a part of you that goes, ooh, yeah, that's so validating. Right. And then there's a part of me that goes,
oh, I'm noticed.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know that I would want that all the time, everywhere I went.
It's a balance. And it's not like that happened. Well,
yeah,
we're not Denzel, but
locally, like you're locally famous there in your community, and I'm sure that like everybody knows you. But it's more of like a love. It's more of like a hey, keep it moving, like you were saying.
Ain't nobody like coming to take pictures of my house. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. like you be like, it ain't that deep. Yeah. You know, like the deification of human beings has always been a problem, and it will, you know. I remember I used to say stuff like, yeah, I'm a fan. And my father would be like, man, be careful. You know what a fan is? I was like, what? He's like, a fan is a human being that deifies another human being. And I never thought of it that way. But certainly we like, maybe not to that extreme, but when you really think about it, when people say, I'm such a fan of this person, it's like, how do you view that person? And I don't know that I ever want to be viewed that way. And I don't know that I'm in danger of that, because thankfully the one thing that I'm known for is something that people go to because they need it. Right. Like the comments on the YouTube video of me and my dad singing "The Change Is Gonna Come" is not people going, "Oh my gosh, you're so oh my gosh." It's people going, "Yeah, I was about to commit suicide." And this song came on at the right time. Like it's that kind of stuff. So I can't even take credit for it. Matter of fact, it's like, I think it's so interesting that of all the ambition that I had in my 20s and my 30s, the thing that I'm most known for right now is something that I'm not even in by myself. And had no intent. Like, I didn't know that video was going to do that. Yeah. That video was on YouTube for 6-7 years and nobody knew it existed.
Really? It was out that long before?
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea.
Maybe like 2013, maybe 4 or 5 years. 2017, one person found it, put it on Facebook, and then
wildfire.
And then it's got 1.7 million views a month, and I don't even know how. I don't know why.
Well, it's amazing. You know? That's definitely why.
Yeah,
like, it's amazing. We were listening to it earlier, and
I get that, maybe, but still.
But like, so is your.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and it's got, just on YouTube, it's got 80 million views, and I mean, I seen there was 17,000 comments. So like, you probably occasionally when you're feeling, it probably feels good to go and look at those comments every once in a while, you know, and just know that people are like you said, you're changing people's lives, and you're not even knowing how. It's just they're finding that video at the right time. Like, why were they on YouTube? Why were they on Facebook at that time?
It's the feeling it creates for the people watching. And then when it gets shared, like, people love a feel-good. Like, they love a feel-good story. They love a feel-good song. And, like, I know it was out for 4 years, but one person. And the power of social media.
Your dad's amazing, too.
Oh, he's a beast.
He came in, I was like,
he's a beast. Yeah, my dad, he can go a little bit. He can sing. He's a much better version. Like, when he was my age, he would sing me under a table because you know, but you know, I really enjoy. First of all, I get to sing with my dad, which is rare, and now I'm appreciating it even more now since he's the only parent that I have. So now it's like everything is, you know. So so now we've been sitting on that video for a while, and I was like, no, dude. We gotta do another we need to do a project. So this year we're doing a project called Duets with Dad. It's gonna be multi-layered, mixed media. It's gonna be a podcast.
Nice.
Where we basically, I had folks send in like, what would you want us to sing? Right. So I took some of those and then went out and found some and talked to my dad to see, well, what do you think? What are some kind of songs you would want to do?
You're gonna curate like a 10 episode, 10 songs.
10 songs and like talk about the songs, the lyrics. talk about how we want to do it, the arrangement style, because that's gonna be kind of important for us when we do stuff. And then we go in and we demo it and see what it sounds like, and then we do the actual, versions of the songs.
And then film and do like behind the scenes,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
live
Cool.
performance, whatever it might be.
This year?
Oh yeah, this year.
Huge. Love
This
the
year.
name too.
And what
This
a
year.
cool memory to have, like you have your one video, but to have now 10.
That'd be
just
it's gonna be
something
great.
great
When it's
to
a
look back
project,
on.
and in this one you're invested in. And is your dad retired now, or is he still
Oh,
working?
my dad been retired, man.
Okay.
Yeah, he's always working on stuff. But like, yeah. Both my dad and my father-in-law, they're both retired.
Yeah.
So something to aspire to.
Yeah, hey, it's coming. But hey, when you love what you do, man, it's you're always going to be in it, and especially with the younger people, the younger generation. And 20 years from now, you're going to have more 15, 16-year-olds, and then you're just going to get inspired again by doing it all over again. So
Maybe, or I will have just inspired, the generation that I'm working with now, and then they'll be doing it, and I'll be watching, going, man, that's so awesome.
You're winning.
And I'll be kicking with my grandkids, and just being like, that's so,
She's like, wait a minute.
that's so awesome. That's so
Right there.
awesome.
So what message are you trying to tell with your music? Like, if you could pick one thing.
Hope is real. It's real. And it's not a thing. It's not a place. It's a person. That's it.
hope. Yeah.
Yeah, hope is a part. And if you want it, and I'm happy to tell people who hope is
Okay.
every day of my life. And I want my life to be a reflection of that in everything that I do. And, I can't think of a more privileged purpose for me than that. Like, I heard people say a lot, that religion is a crutch. Believing in God, believing in Jesus, it's a crutch. And my response to that is like, yeah, it is. See, the only difference is like everybody needs a crutch. The question is your crutch strong enough to hold you up in a world that's full of messed up stuff? That's the question. The question is not whether or not it is a crutch. The question is like, do you realize that you got one anyway, and is it strong enough? And I've tried a lot of other crutches. They don't hold up. But the crutch that is hope, that is this person, holds up. And it don't just hold up for me. When I watched my mother die, man, that crutch, that's the crutch that she was holding on to. That's the crutch we're holding on to. So like everything that I do and everything that we do in our life is all about pointing back to that. When people come and watch that YouTube video, that's what they're experiencing. People are not experiencing just two guys who love to sing, and that's just the gateway. People literally have watched that video and like, I don't know why, but there's something. And like, now I just want to start responding with more content and saying, no, it's hope. It's hope. You can live without food, for a little bit of time. Water, you need water, but you can live. If you don't have hope, I don't know what you're gonna do. Yeah. I don't know what you're gonna do. I know what people do when they don't have hope, especially over the last 2 years when we see all the I've seen more people die in the last 2 years in my life than in the previous 41. So there has to be something else to hold on to. And so, yeah, that's it. That's what I tell people.
Hope is real.
Yeah, a change is going to come.
I love that. Speaking of a change is going to come, so you spoke on 2014, obviously Ferguson, what kind of emotions were going through your mind, and like what drove you to step up and take a lead on that?
I felt helpless, and I don't know that I stepped up to take a lead. I just stayed. You know what I'm saying? It's like
you didn't lead. Yeah,
like I was kind of like, okay, God,
This is happening.
what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm trying to see the big picture, right? Like, there's a lot going on, and it's nuanced. It's not as simple as anybody will ever try to make stuff. And I think that for me, sitting back and just staying and saying there's going to be a long-term picture of this. So don't draw any conclusions right now. Don't make any quick statements right now. You know, and I'll give you a perfect example. So when it happened, because I was friends with a lot of the news stations, because I was an artist, they would call me in to talk about what's happening and speak on Ferguson, which I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I'm happy to do that. So this one particular show, there was a panel of 3 people. One was a lawyer for the businesses on West Florissant and Ferguson that had been burned. The other was a spokesperson and representative for the protesters. And then they had me. So I'm like, what am I supposed, like, you really gonna put me in this panel? Like, what you want me to say? Right. So we get to talking, the lawyer goes first. And he's talking about the devastation to the businesses, you know. Then the guy that's with the protest, he says, I understand where you're coming from, but you also have to understand, and da-da-da. So they're talking, then they start going back and forth. They're calm, but they're going back and forth. It's getting a little heated. Then they turn to me and say, okay, well, Brian, you know, as a resident, you live in Ferguson, and, you know, what do you think? And I'm like,
they're like, pick a side.
Like, Lord. And the whole time I'm praying. The whole time I'm like, give me something to say. Give me something to say, because I have no idea. What do I even say? What do I say? And in that moment, I said, I said, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. And that's all I said.
And you sung it just like that?
And I sung it just like that.
Okay.
I sung it better than that, probably. But I sang that, and then everybody just stopped. And I looked at them and I said, and I have to believe that. I live here. And I believe that, you know.
That ties back to hope again.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, man, yeah, this is jacked up. And there were mistakes made. There are people hurting. But I think there has to be a way for us to learn and move through this and come out better. I don't know if I said all that, but, you know, just that's my thought on it.
That's where we are now.
Yeah, that's where we are now. It's like I just wanted to stay and not leave and be involved in whatever it was going to happen, be involved with it. So now we had one house. I was living in one house on the street. Now we have 6. I don't know if that's doing anything in terms of the movement, but
it's something.
But we're there.
Yeah.
Right, and we're filming things that, you know, are on PBS, and they're in Ferguson at Earth Dance Farms, and you know, we're building out entrepreneurs who are connected and have addresses in Ferguson, Missouri, and we're moving creatives in, and we're trying to be Christ in my community, starting with my block and starting with the people in my life, and just saying, that's my 80.
Right.
There's a 20 that other people are going to do really well. Advocation, politics. That ain't what I do. That's not what I do.
So with the Soul Ferguson, what did that mean for you? How did that feel to have that PBS special out, and, you know? What was that?
It was dope because it came out in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it was started as just this venue in Memphis asking me to do a virtual show. And I said, well, what are the parameters? Because I didn't just want to do like let's set up 2 cameras, and I was like, if I'm going to do something, I want to do something that actually I can use over and over again. Like, and
that means something.
Yeah, that has some dynamic to it. And like, you can do whatever you want to. I was like, well, shoot, I'm going to get the new mayor. I'm going to see if I can get Mike to do the intro. I'm going to get people out at the farm. We're going to do music. For a lot of us, it's the first time we had played in months together.
This was like October 2020?
No, this was like, it came out in like November 2020. We filmed it over the summer.
Okay, so this was mid, like, where people weren't getting together.
Yeah. When we filmed it,
artists were like, they were a little rusty, probably getting used to like playing again.
Yeah, man. And like, you know, that to me was... It was just like the quintessential, like, yeah, this is what we need. This is what we need. And we need more of it. You know, St. Louis can be very self-deprecating, especially like when it comes to like our arts and our creatives and like the contributions that we've made to to music and creative culture. And I think, you know, it's time for us to regain the narrative that has been stolen. Like there's a narrative that got stolen in 2014 and nobody ever, and we never said, hey, wait a minute. Right? So we're coming up with all this stuff that's local, but we're not coming up with anything that reaches beyond that. Right? So I think for me, the Soul of Ferguson was the first part of saying, first of all, let's show Ferguson outside of Ferguson. For all that it is, the good, the bad, the ugly, but let's show it in a light that says it's all redeemable, right? There's a redemptive end to all of this.
Comeback story.
Oh yeah,
right.
yeah. Don't call it a comeback. You know, like, yeah, I see a lot of opportunity in our city that hasn't been tapped, and we can't wait for somebody else to come in and tap it. We got to tap it. Like, you're tapping it. Buckless, you're tapping it. Like, we need to do that in the creative space. Like, we need to industrialize the creative space. We need to partner with institutions to begin to reallocate resources so that young creative artists can have what they need to be subsidized to start to retell narratives about our city that show, like, how dope our city really is, right? Yeah. I mean, and look, we're just like any other city. We got issues, but the issues are deep seated and go back a long way. But if we don't even talk about them, or put them in a movie, or put them in an animated series, or put them in a podcast, then it's all just going to stay the same.
Yeah, you have to have conversations and focus on the truth, what happened, because, like, and this is what we were talking about in one of the other podcast episodes, but, like, if you're not recognizing how things were, how are you supposed to change how things are going to be? You have to.
For the good and the bad.
For all of it, right?
Like making assumptions that, well, everybody was like that. And it's like, well, actually, you know, people don't realize a lot of cities burned when Martin Luther King died. A lot of cities. St. Louis marched. Started with about 5,000 people at the Arch and ended up with about 50, 60,000 people in Forest Park.
Wow.
So let's talk about Pruitt-Igoe. Let's talk about redlining. Let's talk about the Del Martin Divide. Let's talk about all that stuff. But let's make sure that we talk about all of the context. Let's talk about the fact that the St. Louis Cardinals as an organization were functionally integrated throughout the 60s. You know, how Tim McCarver, a 19-year-old prejudiced kid from Louisville, became best friends with Bob Gibson. Like, let's talk about that as well so that we can show people that even in the midst of jacked up systems, that doesn't mean that every citizen is like that. So let's not focus on the system necessarily. Let's focus on the citizens. And if we can get more citizens to be good citizens, then you can say, well, y'all can keep that system. Mm-hmm. You start our own system. Right? I mean, like, why is it crazy to be like, this is like with the industry. Everybody's like, you know, you're being in the industry. Are you partner with the industry? You're like in the industry. It's like, no, we don't want to be in the industry. We want to be in the industry.
Yeah. You want to own what you do, and you want to do it with the people that helped you get there.
Have that same mindset.
Yeah, that's inspiring, and just hearing you say it and like how well you articulate that. So I think we could break it off now and do the live performance if you got something that you want to sing.
A snippet,
a little snippet of something unreleased, or just a little snippet of a cover.
No.
Cover?
So look, so I'm going through these tunes with my dad. That most of them I picked. Mm-hmm. One of them is a song that came out when I was a kid. Everybody kind of thought it was like a silly little song, but the words are like really, really dope. Okay. You'll recognize it. Let me see how I do this. Let's see.
Okay. Snap. You want?
Yeah. Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy. In every life we have some trouble, but when you worry, you make it double. Don't you worry. Be happy. Don't worry, be happy now. Ooh, 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 ooh. Do. Said, ooh, 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 ooh. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. So yeah, I'm gonna do that with my dad. I'm gonna do it with my dad. That's gonna be
Love
dope.
that.
That's gonna be dope.
Yes.
Little Bob Marley.
Oh my gosh.
That's not Bob
Can't
Marley,
wait.
man. That's Bobby McFerrin, whose father is from St. Louis and went to Sumner High School.
Ooh.
See, yeah. See, don't even. Yeah,
Get him hip.
yeah. Come on,
That's
get with it.
amazing.
All right.
So
Do you
we look
guys
forward to hearing
have
that.
any questions about marriage? About
Sure. What's that?
Yeah, give us a
what's
few
some
tips on
advice?
marriage. We're getting married in about 60 days or less than 60 days.
you getting married in less than
No,
60
like,
days?
Well, about.
About six, yeah, like
I
2
think
months.
it's 73 days.
April 29th.
As of right
April
now.
29th?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't tell people your business. You know, no matter what, be each other's, like, you have to be each other's greatest advocate. No matter what. You have to be each other's greatest advocate. I once asked somebody who was married for about 40 years how he did it, and he said it was simple. I just didn't get divorced. So, you know, I know that things happen with people, but go in saying it's going to have to take something really, 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 really for me to not love you and be committed to you anymore.
That's facts.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Love
And
it.
it's going to be work,
Oh yeah.
you know, and whatever you think it is before you get married, when you get married, telling people, nah, man, it's a whole different thing. The person that you marry, they gonna change, and it might be every 5 years. Like, you're just gonna see these changes, especially when you get married young, because you're growing up.
Oh,
Like,
of course.
I was 24, my wife was 21. Like, we are not even the same people that we were when we got married. So, like, having the expectations of a person growing and developing and supporting that. Yeah, don't hold people hostage to the person that they were when you first met them. That's not fair.
Yeah. Even now, like when we first started dating, we were 21, and I'm like, look at where we are now.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? We were kids.
So much growth. So
Yeah.
much growth in
Lot
5
of
years. I
growth.
couldn't imagine in 15 more years.
Lot of
Like,
growth.
oh my gosh, you changed. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
we're supposed to.
Yeah, didn't
We're
you?
supposed to.
Come on.
So we got a couple more little stuff for you, man.
great.
I wanted to hear if you could grace the stage with anyone ever, dead or alive, who would it be?
Marvin Gaye.
Marvin
Oh,
Gaye.
I
Marvin
love
Gaye.
that
What
choice.
venue?
What venue?
Is it? I mean, is there a specific venue that you'd want to play with him? Or?
Marvin Gaye at the Copa.
That'd be special.
Marvin Gaye at the Copa. Intimate. Or
Hey.
I would say Marvin Gaye, Gladys Knight, in an intimate
venue.
room. Oh yeah.
Just
Oh yeah.
3 of you.
Oh
Just-
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Aretha Franklin on piano.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard.
Yeah. You could
It's
just build
hard.
it like you're like, oh well, this, then this, and then maybe a summer with this part. You know, it's just like so crazy. Like just thinking about what and then you have to think about the venue, and then you're like, okay, now where would I want to play with each specific artist?
I would love to have seen Sam Cooke at the Copa. His Copa show is pretty ridiculous.
That's what I thought you were gonna say. I was like, I
Oh,
thought you
Sam?
might say
Ah,
Sam.
dude, yeah, I
He
love
bet money
Sam.
on it. He
Yeah.
said if I could bet $50, that's who.
Yeah, I mean, I love Sam. No,
Yeah.
Sam Cooke's that dude. Marvin changed my voice.
Really? Tell us about Marvin Gaye, because like you said that so quick. You were like Marvin Gaye. You know what?
To me, Marvin Gaye is arguably, in terms of like just being a vocal genius, Marvin Gaye was a vocal genius. People don't understand the complexity of Marvin Gaye's voice and the nuances of what he was actually doing when he was singing. It's kind of ridiculous. Like he can go from being smooth to being rough in a measure. That's hard to do. Like the way in which he had control over his voice as an instrument, his phrasing. I mean, Like it's like he was like the Picasso of singing. Like he made these masterpieces, and he could write. So it's, like all of those things to me is what really makes.
And he had longevity too, though, like over his career.
I mean, yeah, give or take, yeah. I mean, died early, when he was early 40s, but I mean, to me, What's Going On album is probably, that's one of the greatest album. That's like a top 5 album all time, easily for me. And in terms of an album that with social commentary, I don't know that there's an album better than that.
I want to sing it, but I'm not.
What's Going On was that's been popping up a lot more. Just the single.
Yeah.
The single.
Yeah.
That's been like we've been hearing that.
Yeah, we'll leave that to you.
What's going on? Woo. Yeah. So.
And that was about the war.
I mean, it was about.
It was a mix of both.
It was war. It was about the environment. It was about drugs. I mean, it was prophetic in a lot of ways. I mean, the stuff that he was talking about is stuff that we're still talking about today. Like you can put on What's Going On right now.
It's still relevant.
Like a couple years ago, Inner City Blues. Mm-hmm. Crime is increasing. Trigger happy policing. Panic is spreading. God knows where we're heading. Holy. I mean, that's Marvin Gaye is a whole nother level. Donny Hathaway is another person that I would love to have like just been in the room watching him do his thing. Another with St. Louis, by the way. But those cats that were just like they were geniuses. And anymore, like we don't talk about here unless it's in a commercial or unless it's someplace else. I'm like, that is, especially now when people need nourishment from music.
Yeah, is there any current artists that inspire you? Like ones that maybe are even like coming up or
It's tough. I just don't listen to a lot of contemporary music.
Okay.
That's all my young cats do.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you heard this? I'm like, no.
Not yet. And then they play it. And
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's good.
I don't even know.
I love Jonathan. So Jonathan McReynolds, I love Jonathan McReynolds. If you don't know who Jonathan McReynolds is, he's a beast. And he's a really good writer. Just he's a beast. PJ Morton, I love PJ Morton. He's like this generation's Stevie. Okay. Yeah, he plays with Maroon 5.
Okay.
Really?
That's his kind of thing. But like he's in his own career in his own right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's lots of folks that are out right now that are keeping the vibes going.
Ain't No Mountain High Enough is my go-to karaoke song.
What? Do you guys do it as a duet?
No, I just sing it on my own. I just love that.
Come on, it's a duet.
I'll do all the parts.
Well, she sang that was on the cruise ship.
Yeah, I did it for the first time. I always wanted to do karaoke, and I went on a cruise with my family, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I don't know anyone here. I'm gonna do it. No shame. And I did it, and that's
we don't have a karaoke song yet. We need one before.
That's another marriage.
You need a karaoke song?
Yeah, get a karaoke song if you want to make the relationship last.
I've had the time of my life. I don't know.
Oh,
that's a good one. That's a good duet.
Great
No, always Atlantic Star, the most beautiful duet. You never heard the song?
I don't know what it is. If you told me the melody.
Chasing all of the rain away.
No.
Girl, you are to me all that a woman should be, and I dedicate my life to you always.
Okay.
And she comes and says, a love like yours is rare. It must have been sent from up above, and I know you'll stay this way for always. Okay. And then they sing together. No, man, you gotta, yeah. We
gotta get hip on that.
Yes.
You guys should come to the. So look, I'm not doing a lot of shows in St. Louis this year, but I am doing a show on May 5th at the Sheldon.
Okay.
80s.
Okay.
It's called I Love the 80s.
At the Sheldon, we're there.
Yeah.
We're there.
That's Cinco de Mayo too.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah, man. Cinco de Mayo. I love the 80s.
Oh,
and it's
man.
benefiting Kids Rock Cancer, which is a organization out of Maryville University.
Okay.
They work with kids who have illnesses, cancer, sickle cell, and they help them through the music therapy initiative, and they help them write songs. But
Great cause.
that night, yeah, we going 80s, which I love the 80s.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So what do you want to be remembered by?
When I die, I want people to say he pointed us to hope.
Okay. Bring it back to hope.
That's it. And I'm going to speak, parabolic, because I think people know what I mean. So I want people, like when I die, I don't want people to say, he could sing, or he was this, or he was that. I would say, he pointed, like, even if I decided not to go there, I can't say that he didn't hold up his finger and say, you got to go for hope, and it's that way. Don't run towards me. You got to run towards hope, and it's that way.
Facts. I love that. That's a great way to end. So we always end it with one more question to tie it back with STL bucket list.
Yeah.
So you got a family of 8. So that's 10 of you. You guys probably got a van.
It's outside right now.
It's outside right now. So
Right.
what is your guys' ideal STL day? Like, what would be a day with your family? You're off work. You ain't got nothing to do. You guys have a free day. What would you do? Is there a few spots that you would hit? Is there a specific park you would go to? Food place?
We used to, so over the summers, we would drive like over to Alton and drive up the River Road and listen to 80s music.
Through the
listen to
trees.
music.
When
That's
it's
the
fall,
best.
and
it's
we would go get
Best drive.
ice cream. We did that one time. We did the drive twice.
But it was a great, rememberable day, right?
I think taking the whole day going around St. Louis, getting all of our favorite food could be cool.
Yeah. Eating. Everything involves.
Yeah.
Everything starts with food.
Yeah.
Family food.
Yeah.
And then Ferguson, let's get a Ferguson bucket list. I mean, what's a few good spots? I mean, obviously Farashi.
Shops.
The Ferguson Brewing Company is over there.
Farachi's, Ferguson, Kathy's Kitchen's good. They got a new spot called Cafe Soul. And I would say, though I live in Ferguson, my favorite restaurant on the planet is in Florissant. Hindel's.
Oh, yeah. What do you get there?
I get the Power Bowl, the salmon Power Bowl with double salmon.
That sounds so good. That's right.
I love
Healthy, but
them.
also
Yep.
high protein.
Christina and Nathan, they're awesome. So that's
Hindel's is classic. I mean, people in Florissant love.
Oh,
they ride for Hindel's.
Hindel's is my ride or die.
Okay, so yeah,
Like for real.
like you will fund. Like if they're about to go to like, you're like, we will do whatever it takes.
Oh,
to keep you
absolutely,
here.
Bring-
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. We take everybody there.
Yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, we'll
Add
put
it to
those.
the
We'll
list.
tag those spots and yeah, thanks for coming on, Brian. I mean, it was great to finally meet you. We've heard a lot about you. We've read a lot about you.
All great
but now we
things.
finally get to meet you, man. And thank you for the marriage
You were
advice.
very inspiring, and like I was smiling the whole time. So thank you for.
Well,
a great
that's good.
I did. Look,
That's
you.
good.
I mean,
Amen. All
something to
right.
smile about. That was
Yeah.
a great
Right.
conversation.
Okay, so then, what happens now?
Should we have Ella read? Do you want to read a poem?
Yeah, let's do a live poem.
Only
She
if you
doesn't have a
want.
poem. You have a poem?
She said she writes poems.
You have poetry
A little
in there?
birdie told me.
I
Yeah,
know.
we'll
read
get
a
we'll get
poem.
Ella on there, and then
I mean,
yeah.
honey, there's 8 of you. Like I'm
Do it, girl.
I gotta,
I wanted to read.
So make sure the
you do a
mic's
lot of things I don't know about.
Oh,
Oh, we're gonna have a good conversation on the way home. No, I'm just playing.
so make sure the
Hold on,
mic's
take-
real
take
close
it-
to
Get
your
close
face.
to the
Yes,
mic,
girl.
girl.
Do you want me to get up or you want to sit on my lap?
I put the pressure on her, but
get up.
I know she's gonna be great.
No, you're 12. I'm 12, Dad.
Make sure the mic's real close to her, and then she's good.
Look at the confidence. She got up and she's like, I'm
Yeah,
doing it.
that's amazing. Being your age and being able to get up here like that, that's awesome. You have a lot
That's
of good
okay.
poems.
I know. She's
Anything
right.
you
I saw
want,
her
yeah.
doodle. I'm like, that's right up my alley.
But see, this is because I don't go through your things.
Privacy.
See?
We spoke on privacy.
Just gotta make sure it's the one. Okay, let's get it, girl.
Speak loudly. Sorry.
Not the first time I've done something.
Oh.
Heaven is so far above, is where God lives and sends his love. Heaven is so peaceful and calm, and you won't have fear, you'll be brave and strong. And it's where the angels praise the Lord with cheerful song. And one day those who love the Lord will go in the sky to meet our Father who is God.
Wow.
You're amazing.
You are
that was
amazing.
so great. Well done.
And this will be on YouTube, so we will send that to you too. And we're gonna cut that one up because that one's what we're gonna post on social media too.
Oh my
so that's
gosh.
amazing. That was very special.
Good news. Look.
You learn something new every day,
We're
and this
exposing
brings
your
the
talents.
this brings the creativity out.
She
And
says, you write songs, I write poems.
That's right.
Hey,
That
that's
was
very
so
talented, though.
great. Good job.
Is that
Ella.
something you do
Thank
every day, like, or do you just kind of when you write?
Like when I think about
Yeah.
It's kind of how I put my thoughts onto paper.
I used to write too whenever I was little, whenever I was your age. Yeah. I probably stopped writing around like 17, 18. I wish I did it more, but
Now you're an
now
English
yeah, now see, so look, you inspired me. Maybe I'll open up my journal and I'll write today.
Well, guys, thank you so much, Brian, Ella. Guys, this is the STL Bucket List Show. Of course, we're recording this at Half Coast Studios. If you guys have a podcast or want a podcast, these are the guys to do it at. Thank you.